There are many variations for how to define the word game. Sid Meier once said that a game is a series of interesting decisions. Jesse Schell states that a game is a problem-solving activity. And Jill Hadfield said that a game is an activity with rules, a goal, and an element of fun. It doesn't take much effort to make a counter-argument and point out the flaws in all these particular definitions. What's fun for me can be monotonous and mundane for another person. Playing a competitive game can be stressful and painful experience. Sandbox games have no particular goals, and rolling the dice is not a decision. What these statements are is a tunnel. It's a sneak peek into their respective mindsets of how these people approach and view games themselves, instead of all-encompassing and scientifically objective definitions. Maybe there is no rational way to define what constitutes a game? Is that possible that everything around us is essentially a game? A huge game that consists from smaller and smaller games? Here's one of the most famous quotes by William Shakespeare. "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages." You can definitely say that we act in the world, and you can definitely say that we act in games. People also act on stage, on camera, and at work. Also, the notion of fake it till you make it is nothing more but a genuine suggestion to pretend, or in other words, to act. Actors act, players play, actors play, and players act. Even though we don't speak this way, but gamers essentially game. Doesn't it feel like to you there is a single underlying concept behind all the semantics? You know, like an astronaut and a cosmonaut? What differentiates the word acting from the word playing from the word gaming is the domain of the stage. And all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Which is all to say that a game is just a specific domain of experience. It's a stage to act, and it's a place to play a part. There is one specific intricacy I want to explore. Where exactly is a game? If it's a real place, which it is, what territory does it occupy? Take a look here. It's a picture of a bunch of people sitting and talking to each other at work. What if I say that they're actually playing a game of Mafia on their lunch break? Objectively, the picture remains the same, yet the mental model of the situation has changed so much that the picture seems different. Which is to say that what we perceive depends on what we know, or even more precisely on what we expect to perceive. It's never the case for us to see the world for what it is. We see a model through our individual subjective lenses, which are in turn affected by our knowledge, emotions, motivations, and desires. Change the lens, and the world around you changes. This leads me towards another differentiator. A game is a mentally constructed domain of experience. It's located nowhere else but in our ability to perceive the world differently at will. Animals certainly do play, but they don't construct finite games the way that we do as human beings. There is a degree of self-awareness and abstract thought required not only to intentionally enter a domain of experience that is, in a sense, unreal, but also to voluntarily adhere to its arbitrary constraints. However, these seemingly made-up limitations is precisely what gives birth to new domains of experience which otherwise would not exist. There is a piece by Lao Tzu in which he explores that paradoxical idea of limitation itself. We mold clay into a pot, but it's the emptiness inside that makes the vessel useful. We fashion wood for a house, but it's the emptiness inside that makes it livable. And indeed, a bowl is only useful because we can put stuff in it. A bowl-like object that is completely solid from all sides just clutters the existing domain. It doesn't add anything new. By the same token, our apartments are only useful because we can enter and occupy the space between their walls. Without the walls, there is no room. So the very imposition of arbitrary constraints on physical space is what allows us to create new physical domains. What's more interesting and what I've been leading to is the fact that we are able to design not only physical domains, but also abstract domains. The only thing we have to do is to specify the rules, we have to specify the limitations. A rule is nothing more but an abstract counterpart of a physical wall. It's definitely a constraint, but the one that makes the domain possible. Thanks for watching. Consider leaving some sort of feedback for me so I can see your own thoughts and reflections on the material. For anyone who wants to chat, I've set up a Discord server with a bunch of links which might be interesting. And I'm also sharing my behind the scenes on my Patreon page, which is a worthwhile way to support content creators. All links down below. Thanks everyone and take care.